Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us today. Well, today we're going to be taking a quick look at the Taurus GX4 Micro Compact in 9mm. As a lot of people know, ever since Sig Sauer came out with a P365, there's been a tremendous amount of competition in this little micro compact pistol market. So the real question, of course, we're going to be looking at the various features, find out whether this is a good shooting pistol, good to carry, but does it have a place? Can it really compete with these other micro compacts? Well, we're going to answer all those questions and more in just a minute. All right, once again, welcome back. For those that are joining us again, thanks for coming back. If this is your first time coming to the channel, welcome aboard. Thanks for being with us. If you like our content, please consider subscribing. You can do that very easily just by hitting that little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your computer screen there, or you can go to the mobile device there, scroll down below the video, and you can hit the subscribe button there. It's one of the easy things you can do, and it really does help us out a lot, and we really appreciate it. So, Taurus GX4. Well, like we said, there's a whole lot of competition in this little micro compact market. We'll get into that a little bit more here in a second. But we always like to start off with a little bit of comparison. And the first thing I'm going to compare it to is not going to be another double stack and a half, which is kind of how they, the way they get this whole capacity thing going in these little micros is they kind of start off with an offset double stack here, and they end up with a single at the top. And this is going to be compared to something that is a single stack, but I want you to see this for a reason, because it's another extremely popular carry pistol 9mm, and that's Glock 43, a pistol that I believe probably started a lot of this other stuff with regards to the micros. So, they're very similar, but if you notice that the Taurus is a bit shorter than the Glock, a lot of their other dimensions are really, really similar. So if you take a look at it, looking over the top, they're about the same width. They are about the same height from the top of the sights to the bottom of the magazine. So it's a very, very similar package. And the thing that makes this noteworthy is, the Glock has a 6-round magazine. We're talking about, 6+1 capacity. And the Taurus has got 11+1 capacity. So you've got quite a bit more capacity inside a pistol that is virtually the same size as the 43 and a little bit smaller. Now I want to show you something else too, because I like to go both directions on the size comparison. This is a P365X right here. This happens to be the Romeo 0 version, but I want you to take a look at this. So, very small. Now this has got 12+1 capacity. Of course, this is 11+1. So if you'll notice on this configuration, the grip on the 365, you've got a little bit more overall, height there from the top of the sights to the bottom of the magazine. And aside from that, they're extremely similar in all their other dimensions. If you look, very, very, very similar. Trigger guard, grip area, you've got a little bit more here, of course, but this is supposed to have a little extra capacity. So looking at these two, for 1 round less than the 365X, this is a whole lot of capacity in a small package. So if you're used to carrying a Glock 43, or if you've been carrying a 365, you can see that the GX4 is going to be extremely similar to those pistols. All right, we're going to get into the features here, but before we do, of course, we want to take a moment and thank our friends over at Don's Weaponry for providing us this beautiful example of the Taurus GX4 today for our tabletop review. Don's Weaponry is a huge supporter of firearms safety and education, and we can't thank them enough. So, taking a look at the GX4 here, we're going to go over a few things, and this is in no particular order. One thing I want to mention right from the beginning is that one thing that Taurus has done with this particular pistol that I think is worth mentioning is the it's a polymer frame. And like I say, you have lots of these little, micro compact pistols that are polymer frame, but they actually have a stainless steel reinforcement inside their frame. And I think that probably helps this pistol a lot with performance, and I'll talk about that when I get to the range section. But there's actually, a little steel frame reinforcement that goes all the way down on the inside, which I thought was pretty nice. You can actually see it a little bit there shining through in the little gap there in the slide. But it's really nice. So, like I'd say, no particular order, kind of going top to bottom. You've got your sights here, and you've got a steel sight on the rear with a notch, and you've got a white dot on the front, which is, more than adequate for these little small guns. I personally would prefer it to be a 3-dot setup, if at all possible, just because to me 3 dots are much easier to pick up than, a white dot through a notch. But it's still good, so I'm not complaining. That's just something I would like to see different. And these will probably get changed out at some point to something different anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. You've got some pretty good serrations here on the front and rear of the slide. You can really feel these. So if you're going to wear gloves, if you just are concerned about getting a positive grip on the frame, you can certainly feel these. These are pretty beefy slide serrations. If you look right here on this part of the frame, there's a little bit of texturing right here on both sides. And at first, I wasn't sure what that was for, but I figured that out at the range, and I'll tell you about that here in just a minute. You got a pretty good sized trigger guard. I really like this. I'm glad that so many of these pistols are going to larger trigger guards. And it's not just about wearing gloves. It's about easily getting your finger inside in a hurry, because in the hopefully very, very unlikely event that you ever have to pull your pistol, when your fine motor skills or go out the window, I like having a easy way to get my finger inside there once I've committed to doing so. Of course, your trigger. We'll talk about the actual trigger performance whenever we get to the range. But you can see you've got your trigger safety, and then you can see your trigger assembly right here. Your magazine release. Pretty positive magazine release feel. It'll spit that magazine right out there. Of course, your slide release is right here. You're probably wondering about the takedown portion of this. Well, you can see this little round spot right here. If you flip this over, that's the other side of your takedown lever. And really what you have to do here is, if you can see right now, it's just looks like a screw head. You can take a screwdriver or a shell casing, anything that'll fit in there. It's currently in the horizontal position. If you just take a screwdriver or whatever and turn that to the horizontal position, the entire assembly will just come apart, and it's not unlike any other pistol that you currently clean and then reassemble. Very, very similar. So you've got kind of mild pattern here on the front, this texture, and then on the rear, and it's a little more aggressive, it feels like, on the sides. They do give you look at this, you can see this back strap here. They actually do give you an additional back strap, a bigger one. I've got a pretty good size hand, and I was pretty comfortable with the standard back strap, and that's not always the case for me, so I thought that was kind of nice. And of course, we talked about the fact that your magazine here, this is of course 11 round magazine, but they give you 2 of them. And I don't think that people really stop and appreciate whenever a manufacturer gives you multiple magazines, because so many of them don't do it. And it's surprising, because even on high-priced pistols, a lot of times they'll just give you 1 magazine, and that just has never made sense to me. I wouldn't even mind if they raised the price a little bit and just gave me the magazine. That way I don't have to hunt for them later. But Taurus gives you 2, and so I think that's good on them that they've done that. So that's your overall look of the features. Now, just to give you a little extra info here, the slide finish is what they call gas nitride coating. We'll have to see how well that wears. It just depends on the gun. Some people do this well and some do it bad, so this will be just over a test of time. So far, it's held up pretty good. And of course, the barrel has got what they call the satin black DLC, diamond-like coating, which is supposed to help it do very well over time. The barrel length on this firearm is a little over 3 inches, 3.06. And the overall length of the gun, if you have this smaller back strap on it, it's 5.8 inches, and it's 6.05 inches if you have the larger one. Not bad. Of course, the trigger pull, we'll talk about this more when we do the range section, but I measured it at around 5.5 pounds. So that is kind of your overall look of the features on the GX4, and it's not too bad. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the range. So, of course, I had some ideas about what to expect before I ever went to the range, just for the simple fact that we're talking about a micro compact with a 3-inch barrel, shooting 9mm. And if you've ever done this particular thing, you know that after a while, you can start to feel that in your hand if you shoot a lot of mags through this thing. So that's what I was expecting. And, let's do another quick little safety check here before we start playing with this, let you know that we are safe as we can be. So I get out there, and of course I shot all the usual suspects, I SMB, I had Winchester white box, defensive rounds, Hornady, Barnes, the Sig V Crown. I've shot just about everything I can think of through the gun. And I have to tell you that no matter what kind of ammo I put through the gun, it performed really well. There's no problems. I didn't have any issues with feeding. I didn't have any issues to speak of. Now, I think one thing that may be helping with that, and the way it feels and the way it performs, it seems like the pistol feels really solid in your hand. I didn't get near as much of that felt recoil, and the weapon was very controllable. And this, steel frame reinforcement, I think, may be helping with that. So I was pretty impressed with the way it shot. The trigger's not bad. If you take a look at this thing, so I'm going to show you the reset here. Okay, when you actually pull the trigger, when you come back, you'll see it reaches a point, and then it just, bam, it really, really breaks cleanly. I'm going to show you that again. There's your reset, and then I'm going to come back. Now, I measured this at 5.5 pounds using my scale. It feels a little heavier than that, honestly. It's kind of strange. I guess just because of the way it breaks, it feels like that it's building up a little bit at the end. But it's a really good trigger, and it shoots very well. I had a really good time shooting this little pistol. And I really didn't feel as much of the energy in my hand as I thought I would. So it was very, very comfortable to shoot. The grip was awesome, too. This texturing, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it because it's kind of light on the front here and a little bit heavier on the sides. But after lots of shooting, very comfortable. No issues with that at all. I mentioned earlier these little pads on the front, and I was trying to figure out what that was necessarily for. And I had an idea what it was for, but I mean, the way I hold my pistol, normally I've got my thumbs set kind of like this. They're going forward, but not quite that far forward. Well, if you get this thumb a little further up, you can get on that pad right there, and it's amazing how much more stability that you get when you're shooting the pistol. So I tried that, and there's plenty of room for me to do this and not have my fingers, nothing's in the way. My other, thumb that's forward is not interfering with my finger in the trigger guard at all, but it is amazing how much more stability that you pick up holding this frame just by having your thumb on that pad. And of course, you can do it both ways since there's one on either side. So, whether you're a lefty or a righty doesn't make any difference. And I just thought that was interesting that they took the time to do that, because apparently someone spent some time shooting this and thought, you know what? There's got to be a way to make this thing a little bit easier to hang on to, and that helps quite a bit. So, after shooting about 100 rounds through the firearm, I think it's safe to say that Taurus has made something that's a really good performer in the micro compact market. We talk about there's 3 things that are extremely important in a carry gun: accuracy and reliability. Now, of course, keep in mind this is a 3-inch barrel. So if you think you're going to pull this out of the box and shoot a 1/2-inch group at 21 feet, that's probably not going to happen right away. You can probably do it with practice, but my first magazine was inside of a 2-inch circle, okay? And that's at 21 feet. And as I shot it more and more, I pulled it closer to a 1-inch circle. Now, if I can shoot a 3-inch barrel inside of an inch at 21 feet, I think it's safe to say that the weapon can be aimed pretty accurately when you need to. So I'm pretty happy with those results. And the more I shoot it, the more it'll get, better than that, I'm sure, over time. But the firearm performed very well. And of course, it had no malfunctions whatsoever. It shot every type of ammo that I put in the firearm. So at this point, as far as performance and features, I think the GX4 is something that people need to look at very seriously as a carry gun, because you pay a lot of money for the 365 and the Hellcat. A lot of these weapons are really, really expensive. And the Taurus has got, identical features that a lot of these handguns do with the same capacity at a really good price. And so I think it's something that people need to pay attention to if they're looking for a serious carry gun. So what's it like to carry the Taurus GX4 as a concealed carry gun? Well, I have to say, I rather enjoyed my experiment with the GX4 as far as carry. Like I say, this gun, it's a really good size. It's very comparable to the other little micro compacts, just like we talked about. But there's a lot of ways you can carry this. And I've mentioned before that if a pistol is a certain size, and it has to be a certain size, small enough for me to do this, but I will pocket carry a lot of guns, either that or I will carry them in the waistband a couple different ways. Now, the GX4 fits really well in a sticky. If you want to carry in the pocket, you can take something like this and put it right down your pocket, and everything is covered, protected, and you can easily draw the weapon from your pocket if you need to, and this thing will stay behind just like it's supposed to. And you can also, like I say, these can go in the waistband and they'll stay put pretty well too. A lot of people, they've got their opinions about these because they don't have any kind of retention, and I get that. This is just an example of one of the things that you can do. Now, another way that I carried this, I kind of split my time, was with the TX4 Victory, this little Tagua holster here. I really like this one as well. Now, this was inside the waistband, but you can carry this one either inside the waistband with a clip, or you can carry it outside the waistband, and you can run your belt right through these loops here to the outside. And I thought that the weight of the pistol was extremely comfortable. It's one of those that you're probably going to forget that you've got the extra weight on your side. Obviously, if you carry a firearm daily, you're always aware that you've got it with you and you know what side it's on, and you're always kind of paying attention to the fact that you've got a firearm on your side. But the weight on this thing, it's so light and it's so comfortable, and the way it's made, a lot of firearms, when they come out of the holster, if they're up against your body, and if you've ever experienced this, you know what I'm talking about, but a lot of these little pistols, when they're up against your body, there's all kinds of really uncomfortable areas that can rub against you. Well, the bottom of the grip here, this is smooth, and the transition to the magazine is very smooth. So if this touches you, it's not really irritating, and this part of the back of the frame and the slide is very smooth as well. So depending on how you have this set up, there's really no irritating parts on the firearm to go up against the body. And of course, I've also got on order a crossbreed Super Tuck, which will have that little leather piece that's going to cover this whole area too, and that'll be, of course, the pinnacle of comfort. But it was very, very nice to carry this over the course of every day, a week worth of carry. Getting in and out of the car, I didn't even really notice this was in the waistband. Sometimes if I have a pistol in about the 3 o'clock position, I feel like I need to move it around, change the cant when I sit down in the car, so it's either not poking against the seat or if it's not feeling, like it's poking me. And I didn't feel like I had to adjust this very much, so it was a very extremely comfortable gun to carry. So if you're looking at something and you're considering this market, the GX4 is a really comfortable carry choice. Overall impressions of the Taurus GX4. Well, when I first got my hands on this thing, there's a lot of competition out there, like we talked about, 365 and the Hellcat. You've got all these different little pistols. Glock is doing their thing, and everyone's trying to, maintain their bit of dominance in this market. And Taurus has really been stepping up their game, I think, here lately, and putting out some pistols that are really good. I've reviewed a few Taurus pistols this year that are first-time experiences for me. And it seems like every time here lately Taurus gives us something new, it's been a good offering. I'm pretty impressed with this GX4, and I'll tell you why. Number one, it does all three things that a carry gun should do. It's accurate, and when I say accurate, it's a 3-inch barrel shooting 9mm, so you go practice, practice, practice. But the gun does its job, and I think that with practice you can be really confident with this, and it won't take a lot. It's reliable. So far I've had 0 failures using just about every type of ammo I can get my hands on. Even some cheap ammo did really well. And in comfort. Comfort is one of these things that you can't underestimate on a carry gun, because I don't care how expensive the gun is or what kind of features it has. If it's not comfortable for you to carry, you won't. And if it's at home, it's not doing you any good. Well, this does all three really well. Plus, it's got an MSRP around $400. Now, compared to some of these others, that's fantastic. So as far as I can tell, it doesn't perform any less than the more expensive versions of these firearms. I'm pretty impressed about the stainless steel reinforcement inside the frame. It really made the firearm seem to shoot really, really well. I didn't feel, I felt like that the firearm, it behaved more like a larger gun in my hand than a smaller gun. So I was pretty impressed with that. It's got good features. It feels good. They give you an extra magazine, which is always a plus for me because magazines are expensive. So it's a good shooting firearm with good features, and you can get it for a pretty good price. So as far as I'm concerned, this falls in the category of, what's not to like. So if you're looking for a carry gun, something for concealed carry, and you haven't taken a look at the GX4, I think you should, because it's impressive. All right. Well, that's going to do it for today. We appreciate you joining us once again. We're going to be back very soon with another video for you. So until then, as always, everybody stay safe and have a great day.